Hey y'all, it's Katie. I kind of just dropped off the face of the earth, but I promise it's okay. Now we're going to be back on a regular schedule. Today is Top 5 Wednesday, and we are talking about my top 5 hate to love ships. Now, I don't know about y'all, but hate to love ships are just about my favorite kind. If there's anything when you read the cover of a book and it says they hate each other and you know they're about to fall in love, I pick it up. This is especially common with contemporaries, but I've noticed that all of my favorite ones of these happen to be in fantasy series. Let's get started. My number 5 hate to love ship is from the Throne of Glass series, and that is Rowan and Aelin, Rowaelin. I love their relationship. I love that they hate each other and they don't even notice when they stop. I love that they're best friends first and it's not even questioning it. They just care about each other so much. I love the way that they fight side by side and they consider each other equals without even thinking about it. I love the way they interact. And then I was so glad when they finally did get together, because I think that when you have that kind of interaction with a person, if you do develop feelings for them, that could only make your relationship better. I think in the process of growing from hating each other to loving each other, they did a lot of individual growing, and I love this ship. My number 4 hate to love ship is from the Red Rising trilogy by Pierce Brown, and that is Darrow and Mustang. I love these two. We get so little screen time of them, honestly, in the second and third books. There's just not a whole lot of it because there's so much going on. But I love the way that they do interact, even though they met each other and they were trying to kill each other. I love the way that they make each other better, that they play off of each other's strengths. I think they're both such great characters, and I love getting to see them together. And kind of that journey in the first book from them, trying to destroy each other to, oh crap, now we have to rely on each other to survive. I just thought it was such a fun thing to read. And afterwards, every single time they weren't together, I was like, where's Mustang? Get my ship back together. My number 3 hate to love ship is another Sarah J. Maas, because Sarah J. Maas is the queen of all of my ships. And that is Feyre and Rhys, Faysand. Now we know from book 1, Feyre and Rhys had a very complicated relationship because he already knows that they're mates and he just wants to be with her, but he knows that she's with Tamlin and he doesn't want to take that away, and if she's happy, he doesn't care, so he'll just back off, but he's trying to help her, but the way that he has to help her because of everything with Amarantha makes her hate him even more, on top of the fact that Tamlin just goes, oh yeah, he killed my family after we killed his, but whatevs. So we watched them have this very, very complicated relationship, and it was so cool. A Court of Mist and Fury is so many people's favorite book. I know that some people don't like it as much, and some people are just oh, this is a good book, but I see so many booktubers and so many people that I know that were just wow, I read this book and I've never read a book that made me feel this way. The character growth is amazing. They hated each other and then they slowly learned about each other and slowly started to understand why each other were the way they were, and it just to see them now together and happy and whole, even in the face of all these things that they're struggling with, is just so satisfying. My number 2 hate to love ship is from the Wrath and the Dawn duology by Renee Ahdieh, and that is Shahrzad and Khalid. Now, if any of you have watched any of my reviews regarding The Wrath and the Dawn, or anything where I mentioned The Wrath and the Dawn, you know I was very, very skeptical, and I was not looking forward to reading this book because the premise just sounded so awful. I was I will never ship a girl with someone who killed her best friend. No. And then I read The Wrath and the Dawn, and I learned everything that happens in the books, and it was so good. I love Shahrzad and Khalid's relationship. It's honestly one of the most healthy relationships I've ever read about in a YA book. I think they're so good for each other. The way they interact is so healthy. I think that's the kind of influences that we need as we're young, and other young readers, we need to be reading about relationships like that alongside the problematic ones so that we can see the difference and see, wow, this is what it's like when people trust each other. This is a healthy relationship. This is one where everyone is comfortable coming to each other as coming home, and there's no question about it. I love the way that even though Shahrzad and Khalid had every single reason in the world to hate each other at the start of the duology, they came to love each other all on their own, and they didn't let anything get in the way of that once it was established. There was no conflict. It was, okay, now we love each other, so now we change course and we work around it. And my number 1 hate to love ship, which will probably be so for all time, is, of course, from the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series by Rick Riordan, and that is Percy and Annabeth Percabeth. Aside from Hermione, this is probably the first time that I saw people who were best friends long before they ever got together, and that still to this day is my favorite kind of ship. Like, I think that that's the best kind of relationship in real life and in books, and I've loved getting to read this. I loved watching them for the 4 years that they were best friends before they got together. I thought it was so wonderful to read. They were such great characters, and it was great to fall in love with them and fall in love with them falling in love with each other. The way that they interact, the way that they balance each other. The reason that I loved Darrow and Mustang so much when I was reading Red Rising was because they reminded me so much of a darker Percy and Annabeth. I love the dynamic. I love people being like, well, you're very different from me, but as they learn to not hate each other, it's you're different from me, so we can compensate where each other are weak and we can be each other's strengths. We come into Percabeth in book 1 and they hate each other because of their parents, and Percy's not totally sure whether he should hate her or not, but she's kind of a know-it-all and really bossy, and so they don't really get along, and then they slowly, gradually become friends, and then they're best friends, and even though they're so different and half the time they literally want to kill each other, they're best friends for so long, and now they love each other so much. The way that they change from enemies to friends and friends to best friends and best friends to dating, and now they're in such a secure relationship. It's just so beautiful and so fun to watch and read about. Like, I think that's one of my favorite dynamics to read. That is all I have for this week's Top 5 Wednesday. Feel free to let me know in the comments if you agree with any of these or if there's any that you think should have been included. I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts. Have a good one.